What's going on, fam? Welcome to the Adonime podcast, where we watch anime with the redemptive eyes of a Christian believer. My name is Manny, and today we're going to be sharing our reaction to the new anime called Rurouni Kenshin. So, just as to start off, we're going to be sharing the synopsis for this anime, and it goes like this. 10 years have passed since the end of Bakumatsu, an era of war that saw the uprising of citizens against the Tokugawa shogunate. The revolutionaries wanted to create a time of peace and a thriving country free from oppression. The new age of Meiji has come, but peace has not yet been achieved. Swords are banned, but people are still murdered in the streets. Orphans of war veterans are left with nowhere to go, while the government seems content to just line their pockets with money. One wandering samurai, Kenshin Himura, still works to make sure the values he fought for are worth the lives spent to bring about the new era. Once known as Hitokiri Batosai, he was feared as the most ruthless killer of all the revolutionaries. Now hunted by guilt, Kenshin has sworn never to kill again in atonement for the lives he took, and he may never know peace until killing is a thing of the past. Now in the 11th year of Meiji, Kenshin stumbles upon Kaoru Kamiya, owner and head instructor of a small dojo, being threatened to close its doors. The police force is powerless to stop the string of murders done in the name of her dojo by a man claiming to be the famous Batosai. Kenshin's wanderings pause for now as he joins Kaoru to clear both their names. But how long can he stay before his past catches up to him? And the rating for this anime is PG-13. And so far, I mean, there's a lot of murdering here. There's a lot of swords and slicing and cutting, so it might be a little bit much, and it's just it can be strong. Other than that, I don't see anything crazy. I don't see any sexual themes in it. I don't see, from my recollection, I don't remember hearing crazy curse words in there. So far, I think it's pretty decent. I don't have anything. I didn't see anything crazy going on from the first episode. And just for a little bit of a background on this anime, it's actually a new adaptation of a classic anime from the 90s, and it was really popular. But this new adaptation aims to be more faithful to the manga, as a contrast to the one that came out in the 90s. With that said, this anime was, for me, it was a pleasant surprise, considering that I hadn't heard of this anime before. I got into anime probably a little over 5 years ago, so I'm not too familiar with it. And I didn't hear too much talk about this anime, at least this new adaptation that they were doing. But it seemed interesting for me from the synopsis and just from the look of, the cover arts, the visual arts. They looked pretty decent, and I like the fact that it's about samurais and swords. I kind of like stories that have that. And to start off, the animation was pretty good. I had no complaints on the animation. Really, it didn't look like it was made cheap in any way whatsoever. And the intro and the outro song sound pretty good too. I think I like the outro song better than the intro song, but I like them. And I felt like they went well with the theme of the show. The theme of the show is, yes, it can be pretty violent with murdering and the killing, but at the same time, it has a lightness to it. So, and the two songs, the outro and the intro, I think they perfectly fit the theme of the anime so far. I mean, from the first episode. So this anime gives like that Demon Slayer feel to it, the anime Demon Slayer, And it has a bit of comedy in it, which kind of reminds me of Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer, though it can be really, really heavy on the murdering and the plot, it can be really heavy, really pretty scary. At the same time, it's balanced out with a lot of comedy. And this anime, it doesn't have as much comedy, and probably not as exaggerated comedy, but it's there. And I actually enjoyed the comedy that's in this anime. I had, there are animes that try too hard with their jokes, and I don't feel like this anime was doing that whatsoever. I feel like all of the jokes were hitting where they were supposed to hit, and it was a good balance. So I like that about this anime so far. I really like the main characters of this anime, and their names are Kenshin and Kaoru. Kenshin is the main character, the guy, and Kaoru, which is the woman. I really like their personalities. They have very gentle personalities, and well, at least from what we can see so far. But Kenshin has a past that he was in the war, and he has a lot of skills with killing and murdering and stuff. But a lot of that hasn't been revealed yet. But I really enjoy the fact that they're both fighters at heart, that they come from different backgrounds, where Kenshin has that past of murdering, and just from what I get from the first episode is that he's a brutal killer. But Kaoru is a little different because she is more like peaceful, like a peaceful fighter. So that interests me in some way, in many ways, because like the Kaoru has the Kamiya Kashinju sword style, which promotes that certain swords can be life-giving swords, which for me is pretty interesting to consider what does that exactly mean. And though Kenshin doesn't necessarily agree with her view, he likes the intention of it. And I want to see how they handle that and what conclusions they come up with. Since obviously murdering, like for us to apply that, murdering for us Christians is against one of God's commandments, right? And with that said, I believe self-defense is different and biblical. And I like that the Kamiya Kanshinru sword style is about self-defense. And I believe we could take that as an example as believers, which gives me hope for the anime, because I feel like it's going towards that route of applying that, for Kenshin to start applying that, because he has such a trauma and he's trying to move forward and move on. And he's curious as to Kaori and her style of fighting. What worries me is the struggle that Kenshin is going to go through with his trauma. And I think it will cause him to make some mistakes because of it. But I really want to see him make the mistakes, but to be redeemed from them. And for him to be able to get past the trauma, and maybe Kaoru can learn some things from him as well about, strength and courage and skill. And that would be amazing, because they would balance each other out. She has a heart of protecting. She wants to protect those that she loves, and she wants to protect herself, and she wants to promote this way of living as protecting. And Kenshin does that, but in a different way. So I think they make a good balance, and I like to see exactly where they're gonna take both applications of both different lifestyles, and maybe they'll meet somewhere in the middle. I don't know. We'll have to see. I also think that there's an opportunity for romance in this anime between the two characters, which I would really like to see. Especially if it's filled with life lessons that they learn about patience, being loving and caring for each other, wanting to be together, but with plenty of maturity. And I feel like both of these characters have that, or at least that potential. I feel like, considering their demeanor and the fact that they have that sense of maturity, their relationship could blossom into something really beautiful. and sophisticated, and there could be potential for it to be a good example for us to follow as believers. And I really hope that they don't show anything crazy like sex scenes and nudity. I don't think that they will. But, I mean, it's PG-13. But again, we can't take it lightly, especially with anime. We have to be very careful with that kind of thing. So, but from what I feel from this anime, I don't think it'll go too far. So I'm not too worried about it. But again, we always have to be careful with the shows that we watch. And, if they do add those things to this show, I feel like it would hurt. It will hurt it in a big way, at least for us Christians to be able to watch it. But other than that, all in all, I have really high hopes for this anime. It looks really promising, not only in animation and plot, but also with the sense of maturity that it has, and its lightheartedness, combined with some bloodshed, so some serious topics, serious actions that are happening in this anime. And I feel like it has a good balance and a lot of potential to learn a lot of different lessons about love, lessons about what it really means to care about people and really care about those you love, and what it means to really be, what it means to be a true warrior. I feel like that's another good lesson that we could possibly learn from this anime. So I'm really looking forward to it. It has a lot of promise, and for the characters to grow as well, to learn about each other, learn from each other, and in the good ways. And I feel like there are going to be a lot of mistakes that they're both going to make because of whether they're both lacking in something. And I feel like both of them together, complementing each other, they're going to see what they lack in the other, and they're going to learn, and they're going to flourish in that. So I'm really looking forward to this anime. So far, I really like this first episode, and I have high hopes for it. So we'll see how it goes. With anime, you can never really know. Like we've gone over many animes here, from just the first episode, and then the second episode they do some crazy wild stuff. So we can't take just the first episode for granted. We have to be wise, right? We have to protect ourselves. We have to do our research to make sure that what we're going to watch, that we can glorify God with what we watch, right? And that's very important for our purity. It's very important that we protect what we see, what we watch, so that we can protect our eyes and that we can be holy with the things that we watch, and we can worship God through that. And so that's it. That's our episode on the new anime Rurouni Kenshin. That's a tough name for an anime, at least for me, since I don't really know Japanese whatsoever. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you guys next time. God bless, grace and peace. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode of the Adonime podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a rating. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Adonime Podcast. Until next time, grace and peace.